Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to part 3 of a 7-part series. Today we're going to talk about multifamily properties, okay? This could be a duplex, a triplex, a fourplex, it could be 12, 18 units, it could be 400 units, it could be 500 units, okay? And what we're talking about here is not just apartments, it could be a mobile home park. So you have to think about things like that. Now remember, whenever it's a duplex, it's a lot easier, right? You have 2 families or whatever it is. Fourplex, you can buy that with an FHA loan. Anything over that, it becomes a different beast, right? So let's talk about apartments first. We'll kind of drift over to mobile home parks, which is a different animal because now you're talking about 5-star parks, 4-star, 3-star, etc. It goes by stars, and then the premium is always senior parks, right? So first thing you want to ask for is you want to ask for rent rolls, right? You want to ask for rent rolls, and what a rent roll is, it's going to break down each unit A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever it is, who's in the unit, what their lease is, what date the actual lease started, when it ends, what their security deposit is, what they're paying per month, if there's a month-to-month rate after that, whatever that is. On top of that, the bank, if the buyer is using a bank and it's not a cash deal, they're gonna ask for what's called allonges, right? And an allonge will be a verification of what's on the rent roll, and that tenant is gonna have to sign that allonge. So let's take, for instance, Unit A, right? Unit A is rented by Joe Smith. Joe Smith's lease is from January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2023. He's paying $1,000 a month. He has a $1,000 security deposit, right? He has to sign an allonge verifying that that is correct, and the owner of the apartments aren't just cooking the books, right? So it's really important to get those allonges started right away. And if somebody moves out, moves in, then as soon as the person that's moving in signs their lease, you have them sign an allonge. It's fresh, it's there. It's easy for you to just have it in the file, right? So think about those things. You have to get a copy of each lease, right? The bank that's loaning on that property is going to want to see a copy of each lease, and you need to figure out a cap rate or capitalization rate, right? Basically, a capitalization rate is the net after all expenses of what you're pulling in. Most investors, right? Remember, well, here, let me go backwards a second. Apartment complexes are a long-term play. Why are they a long-term play? Because rents will always increase. Sometimes there's rent control in certain cities, sometimes there's not. So a long-term play means, let's say I have Mark Brown coming in to buy 200 units of apartments. He's only at a 4% cap rate, but he knows he's gonna get a 5% increase year over year. So that in turn is gonna turn into a 5, 6, 7, 8% cap rate as time goes on. So he knows it's a long-term play, right? So you have to think about things like that. Now, any investor that I've dealt with in the past, their sweet spot never really goes under a 6% cap rate. I have seen huge corporations buy thousands of units, different apartment complexes at one time, and they're fine with a 3 or 4% cap rate, but they have money to burn. They really don't care because they know later on they're gonna hold it for 10, 15, 20 years, and they're gonna crush it probably starting in the year 6 or 7 because they're just gonna keep increasing rents, right? But most of my investors that buy apartments for a long-term play usually want to be in no less than a 6% cap rate. They're happy at 8, they're ecstatic at 10%, and they're doing backflips at 12%. So some things to think about if you guys, have a friend or a family member that has multifamily and they're giving it to you to list. You need to think about those things. You need to know where you're at and really what other buyers and investors are looking for when they purchase that property. So it's really important to get all those things. Next thing you want to ask your seller is deferred maintenance. You need to find out, how new are the roofs? How much time is left on those roofs? Now, I travel back and forth between Las Vegas and San Diego. Obviously in Las Vegas, the heat here just cooks roofs, right? So if it's a shingle roof, there's usually an 8 to 10 year lifespan on it. If it's a tile roof, it usually hits 20, 25 years. So you really have to think about those things because roofs are expensive, right? You want to know if there's any plumbing problems, electrical problems, sewer problems, things like that. And you need to think about amenities, right? If there's a pool, if there's a tennis court, if there's common grounds like parks, you need to find out the maintenance costs of all these items every month, not only on a monthly basis, but on a yearly basis. Because remember, you're probably gonna have to empty that pool once a year. You know, sometimes you're gonna have to replaster it, place water sprinkler heads and all that costs money. Sometimes there's a break in the water line, things like that. So you wanna get all these costs and when things were fixed so that you can pass on this information to the new owner. It's kind of like a Carfax, right? You want to say, oh, by the way, the pool was replastered during this date on, you know, in this year, so it's pretty new. These AC units are newer, you know, the plumbing was replaced in these 10 buildings, so, you know, these don't have to be done in the future. So it's really important to get all this information, and this way you have a full package and you're able to give it and market it to the new buyers or whoever you're marketing to, right? Another thing you want to think about is you want to think about the proximity of where everything is to your multifamily units. Again, I speak about this in my other videos in this series. You know, where's the anchor tenants like the Targets, the Marshalls, the Walmarts, stuff like that. It's really important to really understand where everything is, the schools, the parks, the freeways. You know, people are moving to this location because they want it to be close to work or close to their kids' school. So it's really important to get all that information. Okay, now you're ready to get a marketing package. What do? It's really important to get a photographer. As many angles of this complex as you can, the better. What's really gonna play into effect here, and what's really important is the drone footage, right? You really wanna get up there and get good drone footage. You're gonna have multiple angles because it could be a really big complex. So it's really important to get a good drone guy that can really set, you know, and you can see the aerial overlays where you can see the pool and the parks, and maybe there's a playground, maybe it's gated, right? So it's really important to highlight all these things in your marketing package, and also how close you are to downtown or to really where the hub of the city is. So think about these things as you're getting ready for your marketing. Really important, right? And you want to think about the population around you, right? Are you in a more dense area where there's a lot of people, or are you more on the outskirts, right? So think about these things. And if you are on the outskirts, then you also want to say, oh, there's a new park that's being built a year from now. There's a new Taco Bell that's coming in. There's a new retail center that's coming in, right? You want to be able to let them know, and you want to future pace the potential buyer coming in or the potential purchaser of what's coming, so that they feel more secure that they can raise rents as time goes on. So I hope this helps you guys, and those of you that are pursuing multifamily, right? This is really a niche area. Usually residential clients don't do multifamily on a large scale. Usually they do it on a much smaller scale, whether it be a duplex, triplex, or fourplex. Sometimes they'll go up to 10 or 12, but no matter what the size of the multifamily, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It's just, you know, it's just getting more information for more units. Oh, and before I forget, let's touch briefly on mobile home parks. Mobile home parks are the exact same thing. The only difference is a lot of investors really want senior parks. So if you have a senior park, or what's called a 4 or 5-star park, which means, you know, it's not higher end mobile home park. I don't even think that really goes together. But you know, there's amenities, it's gated, you know, you have good rents, it's in a good area. These are the things that make it a 4 and 5-star park, right? So think about those things as you get out there. So for more information like this, make sure you subscribe, like, and comment, and we'll see you on the next one.